Всем привет! Добро пожаловать на 27-й отчет о прогрессе. Меня зовут Ситра. Это мой аниматроник. Его зовут Nosey. Those are his hands right there. As you guys can see, I have suspended Nosey via these two ladders in my garage to continue working and additionally to see exactly where gravity wants to pull the joints when the legs are elevated and also in a relaxed stance. Because obviously Nosey won't be elevated when it's walking and running around, so we need to make sure that everything lines up perfectly in a controlled environment before we can obviously let it out. But in order to do this, I need to check the angles that the joints are falling in on each joint and make sure they're actually centered as best as they can be. So if we see through here, we can see that the base of the torso, the pelvic region, is actually displaced backwards over the rear of the legs to increase the weight load on the back of it, because Nosey needs to have rear weight, as most of its weight and body will actually be positioned forward. So we're accommodating for that now. This also is very helpful for seeing the lengths of the hydraulics that I need to install, the pneumatics as well. Any extensions that you guys can see coming off the legs like this, they're going to be all over the body, but they're on the legs for now. We'll have a corresponding hydraulic or piston line connecting them to, in this case, the base of the foot, in the calf's case, the rear of the ankle. But they will also be spread out throughout the rest of the build, on the elbows, the knees, the shoulders. A whole lot of them actually will be mounted directly onto the pelvic box here and on the sides as well. As you can see, we've begun the installation of the lower spine. It will be fixed to the base and will rotate. Well, it's not fixed yet, obviously, but it will rotate like just exactly as the lower pelvis does. Let me pick this up. I'm gonna put it back in place to show you guys what I'm thinking. Here we go. So without it falling off, we can see that this will be rigid. This will be mounted onto a base plate and will be bolted directly onto the pelvic region. For maximum security and stability, obviously, it's going to be much more stable if it's bolted onto a plate as opposed to a little, snot weld there and there that would rip off eventually if it's under any kind of pressure other than its own weight. So it should support its weight, but what it wouldn't be able to support is like a motion, sway, or any kind of impact. It would snap right off unless we bolt it on. So we're bolting it on. I've added these as well today. This effectively isolates the motion in the leg up through the thigh and allows the entire thigh, upper leg, lower leg, to rotate along this joint instead of being dispersed all the way through. So it takes this long path of rotation and shortens it. This is also removable, so when Nosey is in a seated deactivated state, you can unbolt those with your hand. Actually, I installed wing nuts instead of lock nuts on these. This is irregular for the project. Most of the bolts are lock nuts, but in some cases I'll use wing nuts if it needs to be accessible by hand to work for a long time. But here it'll be a similar joint to the ankle, where there's metal suspending the second joint above the first, so it'll be kind of floating like this with two metal brackets that come down. Extending from the top of the joint will be the continuation of the spine, which will be connected to hydraulics that will compress when the spine is crouched low and will decompress when the spine is flexed or arched. Nothing much has changed with the hands. Or the arms, the entire unit hasn't changed much. I will come back to them. I'm going to rework the finger joints, make them a little bit stronger, increase their grip strength a little bit, and add the ability to clutch objects for longer periods of time. These are completely spring operated. So it has as much force or tension as the spring was built with. But if I can switch over to a hydraulic system or a cable system, the grip strength will be the ankles, the hips right now will become much more involved as the machine hardware is gradually included into the build. But yes, you can expect those updates relatively soon. So get ready. Do one walk around for you guys before I call it. But as you can see, these are the first ones I slapped on there early on in the progress reports. I believe it was around progress report number 4 is when we were working on the arms. And they will be reworked as we have grown and improved this project since then, but they will look relatively the same. They'll just be stronger, more durable. Hey guys, to everyone who's finished this video or watched up to this point, I want to wish you, or thank you rather, for staying and sticking around. And also I want to wish you a good night, a happy sleep, a spokojnie noche. I said a restful sleep. And Nosey and myself will see you all very, very soon. Sleep well.